I welcome you to this lecture. It is all about the multiple roles that a teacher has to play while doing his business. A teacher acts as a planner, a facilitator, a counselor, and a researcher. Dr. Radhakrishnan, one of the greatest teachers, once said, "Until and unless we have dedicated and committed teachers who can take teaching as a mission in their lives, we cannot have a good educational system." Teachers should be the best minds of the country. Further, he was of the opinion that respect for the teachers can't be ordered, it must be earned. His heart should be the lamp of knowledge, burning bright all the time. His conduct should be simple and his ambition noble. His river of wisdom should not become stagnant, instead should flow like pure water. He should work hard, be broad-minded and innovative. These few valuable words itself is the summary of the qualities to be possessed by teachers to earnestly promote the great mission of teaching and strengthen the power of our educational system. Teachers with seemingly applicable teaching skills and competency, dedications and innovativeness, influencing teacher behaviors, all sealed in genuine quality, is the need of the hour. The heart of the nation today calls for good teachers, which signifies the significant role they play in the progress of the nation. It becomes important for teachers to quit from their gloomy, unimpressive, unproductive ways of teaching, sharpen their teaching tools, and make teaching more dynamic, interesting, and meaningful. It needs a special mention here that there are many classrooms in the schools where students are silent witnesses of motiveless, purposeless, and non-receptive teaching. Teachers don't keep definable objectives, don't show the interest to incorporate the different teaching and learning styles, and lack of professional commitment has exterminated the passion for learning from the students. Teachers should constantly look for effective instructional practices, refine and improve their teaching strategies, skillfully manage and utilize specific teaching situations and resources, show a genuine interest in the subject, concern towards students, and continually think and create most appropriate teaching learning situations. Galileo aptly remarked, "You cannot teach a man anything, you can only help him discover it within himself." This is a composite role that calls upon many facets of a teacher's abilities and common sense. When we find the teacher who is a facilitator, we find a classroom where personal growth is flourishing. Teachers as facilitators shift their roles from that of sole classroom leader to one who aids students in learning themselves. They are recognizing that the most powerful kind of learning does not come from being told what to think, but in learning how to think about it for oneself. How a teacher acts as a planner of learning experiences. The planning is an important step of managing teaching and learning. A genuine teacher knows that mere inspiration will not get her or him very far in her or his work. Therefore, she or he plans extensively in order to make the most efficient use of all her or his strengths. She or he plans for her students. She sets goals for each student according to her needs and abilities. Since a teacher has to tackle with the heterogeneous types of students. He or she has to plan for the different categories accordingly. The teacher plans enrichment activities for high achievers and remedial activities for those who are lagging behind. Those who are creative are benefited by new and novel experiences. The exceptionality of the students is being served according to their specific needs. The teacher keeps track of the curriculum given to her or him and ensures that it is spread out evenly over the year. The teacher makes sure that every element in the curriculum is delivered to the students in the right sequence and at the right pace. The teacher also makes sure that students learn from a wide variety of experiences through projects, discussions, visits outside school, and technology. Her or his well thought out planning and foresight ensures that all these activities are conducted efficiently and with focus on the right goals. The teacher is not bound by the curriculum and textbooks prescribed by the board. He or she plans for a curriculum in a much larger sense, one that develops skills and values in addition to factual knowledge and critical thinking. It is the curriculum that helps students to learn what is considered essential for preparing them to fulfill adult roles in society and realize their potential as individuals. Therefore, the teacher plans for horizontal and vertical continuity. His or her plans integrate her or his subject domain with other subjects and fields of knowledge so that students understand the relations between different fields of knowledge. Her or his plans link students' past knowledge to what they will be learning later to ensure continuity in the level of detail that students are exposed to in the classrooms. This planning ensures that students get both the big picture and the little details without ambiguity. In order to achieve all this, the teacher makes both long-term and short-term plans. The teacher acts as a facilitator. The teacher facilitator is an educational visionary who explores and invests in innovative practices and coaches learners through challenges. The teacher facilitator provides an educational atmosphere where students have the opportunity to fulfill their potential for intellectual, emotional, physical, and psychological growth. At the same time, as a facilitator, the teacher evaluates the needs and abilities of students and accordingly determines proper methods and techniques. After providing necessary instruction to students within assigned subject areas, ensures students' continuous improvement in learning basics and essential skills. The teacher, while doing the role of a facilitator, looks for purposeful ways to engage students and welcomes the challenge of creating an engaging and rigorous curriculum that makes connection to important concepts and ideas within and across disciplines. Whereas a traditional pedagogical teaching approach emphasizes the role of the teacher as the holder of the wisdom, facilitation puts the onus on the participants to become involved in their own learning. The facilitator's role is to introduce subjects of discussion, encourage sharing of perspectives, and integrate students' shared experiences. This collaborative approach reinforces a good facilitator is a connector and integrator who brings the collective experiences of the classroom together in a shared learning experience. American philosopher John Dewey emphasized on child-centered education, which places the emphasis of learning on the needs and interests of the child. In Devi's view, children should be allowed to explore their environments. He believed in an interdisciplinary curriculum, or a curriculum that focuses on connecting multiple subjects, where students are allowed to freely move in and out of classrooms as they pursue their interests and construct their own paths for acquiring and applying knowledge. The role of the teacher in this setting would be to serve more as a facilitator than an instructor. In Devi's view, the teacher should observe the interests of the students, observe the directions that naturally take, and then serve as someone who helps develop problem-solving skills. Traditionally, a teacher would stand in front of a group of students who are all sitting in rows. The teacher is usually the deliverer of information, and the job of the students is usually to receive this information and use it when needed in exams. In contrast, in a classroom based on the ideas of John Dewey, you may see a teacher deliver background content information, but you would also likely see students working in groups, with those groups exploring differing concepts within the content. You would see lots of conversation and lots of collaboration. Students are seen engaging in projects and presentations. According to Piaget's theory, humans cannot be given information which they immediately understand and use. They must construct their own knowledge through experience. To this end, they need to have interactions with other people and social factors. Vygotskian theory emphasized that teachers should create many opportunities for students to learn by co-constructing knowledge along with the teacher and peers. In both Piaget's and Vygotsky's models, teachers serve as facilitators and guides rather than directors and molders of children's learning. In the Vedic teaching method, teachers deliver lecture on a topic standing at the front, where students are considered as passive listeners. But as the time passed, people developed different concepts regarding teaching learning theories. Now it is believed that there is no lesson which can be done without an interaction in the classroom. An old Chinese proverb highlights the importance of interaction. It goes like this: if you listen, you forget. If you see, you remember. And if you do, you learn. Hence, the modern academic world has introduced constructivism, that is, inquiry-based learning, which believes in the learner-centeredness in education. The constructivist approach is a learner-centered approach that emphasizes the importance of individuals actively constructing their knowledge and understanding with guidance from the teacher. In the constructivist view, teachers should not attempt to simply pour information into children's mind. Rather, children should be encouraged to explore their world, discover knowledge, reflect, and think critically with careful monitoring and meaningful guidance from the teacher. A teacher with a constructivist instructional philosophy would not have children requiring to sit still, be passive listeners, and memorize rudely irrelevant or relevant information, but would give them opportunities to meaningfully construct knowledge and understanding the material while guiding their learning. The emphasis is on the fact that students or learners have become a prime focus of all the teaching, learning activities in the classroom. Now, learners play the role of active participants in the teaching learning process, and teachers conduct classes based on experiment and practice using simulation, role play, dramatization, group work, peer work, and project work instead of simply giving lectures or speeches. Therefore, teachers are more popularly known as facilitators, managers, and inspirers rather than mere classroom teachers. Teaching and learning in the old paradigm was considered as a task in which instructors were assumed as experts and they were supposed to transfer knowledge to students. But at present, teaching and learning is considered a professional job that demands the active involvement of the students. Now, a teacher is not a source of knowledge but a facilitator. These days, an instructor is also considered as an inspirer who is supposed to inspire learners by creating a favorable environment. Now, it is believed that knowledge is constructed by learners from experiences. The instructor needs to be a guide on the side rather than a sage on the stage. If teaching is a professional job, facilitation is the role of the teacher. Teacher also acts as a counselor. The historic nature of the role of a counselor can be traced at least as far back as Socrates. Repeatedly in the writings of Plato, what we see? We see Socrates involved in assisting his students and followers in a counseling posture. In the perspective of a school, the teacher is a counselor and the students approach the teacher when face problems which cannot be solved by themselves. Sometimes the teacher senses the problem and offers help to the student to solve the problem properly. The teacher addresses not only problems related to the school but also those related to friends, family, health, etc. In a school setup, students seldom approach teachers with their problems to get any help as they are apprehensive about disclosing the intimate nature of their problems. Having understood the nature of the problem, the role of the teacher is to help a student realize his or her potential to solve it. Counseling works on the principle that every individual, if guided properly, can realize the strength of self to solve a problem of self. As a result, a teacher does not have always to give solutions. To be an effective counselor, a teacher must possess the qualities like, number 1, being a keen observant, 2, being sensitive, number 3, being empathetic, and lastly, being objective. When students have problems, they turn to those whom they know the best and who they think can help the most. Surveys have shown that the adults to whom students of all ages are most likely to turn after their parents are definitely teachers. Although school teachers may lack the professional training of counselors, they have a long tradition of helping students with personal problems. They also interact with the students daily and thus are in an excellent position to provide personal direction. In fact, effective teachers share many of the same traits as effective counselors. Ability to empathize with students, patience and flexibility, excellent interpersonal skills, openness to new ideas, and awareness of individual differences. Good teachers also habitually promote and sustain positive group interaction in their classes and develop a helping relationship with both students and parents. In all these ways, the teacher's role is closely allied to that of a counselor. Elementary school teachers who work closely with young children in a single classroom generally accept the idea that developmental guidance is an integral part of their responsibility to students. But middle and secondary school teachers work with a large number of students and usually spend no more than an hour a day with each class. Because their teaching is limited to specialized fields, they tend to emphasize academic skills and have little time to spend getting to know their students or talking about student needs, interests, or problems. Yet adolescents at the middle and the high school level need personal attention and guidance as much as, if not more than, young children. A trusted high school teacher is often the student's first choice as someone to turn to in discussing personal problems. The teacher has an important role of a researcher too. The concept of teaching as researcher is included in recent literature on educational reform, which encourages teachers to be collaborators in revising curriculum, improving their work environment, professionalizing teaching, and developing policy. Teacher research has its roots in action research. The systematic classroom research helps the teacher to expand his or her role as inquirer about teaching and learning. It empowers the teachers to make a positive difference in terms of classroom practice. By engaging in reflective practice, the teacher researcher is seeking to discover better, more effective ways of implementing teaching and learning. Teacher researchers can be characterized as those practitioners who attempt to better understand their practice and its impact on their students by researching the relationship between teaching and learning in their world of work. There has been a growing recognition in the international education community over the last decade of the powerful role of teachers as researchers. There has been a qualitative shift in the notion of the classroom teacher by focusing on the dynamic role of teacher as classroom reflective practitioner and collaborative member of an educational community of inquiry. Teachers with the research skills to share and critique their practice become key collaborative professionals in the change processes within school communities. Collaboration is regarded to be the key factor in triggering effective teacher participation in researching their own practice. Research indicates that teachers participating in collaborative research grounded in their own classroom practice felt they were accepted as generators of professional knowledge, not merely consumers or objects of study. The role and voice of the teacher is now considered critical to developing an understanding of the relationship between teaching and researching, for it is the teacher who is in the middle of the complex environment of the school and classroom. Research indicates that doing action research causes teachers to look at their teaching in a more analytic, focused, and in-depth way. The critical role of reflective inquiry on the part of the teachers into their practice is described as the opportunity to involve teachers in a process that moves from reflecting on experience to description, analysis, and finally to action. Structured and collaborate reflection are suggested as key factors in teacher-initiated change of school practice. The new role of teacher researcher is considered a critical factor in linking effective teaching practice and continuous professional growth to the processes of inquiry and reflection. The generative power of teachers as researchers of their own practice is described as a data-driven learning process. When teachers do classroom research, they begin to view themselves as learners, their classrooms as places where they are learning, and the data collected as data to be understood. Teachers who engage in research are considered to have an increased understanding of the complexities of the school community and learning environment. The reflective practice implicit in any action research projects undertaken by teachers promote a self and practice awareness with the potential to enhance effective practice through a deeper understanding of themselves as teachers and learners. The ongoing nature of reflective inquiry allows the teacher to make better use of insights gained from their pedagogical and curricular experiences throughout their careers. Dear students, while concluding, it is essential to mention here that teachers have to continuously refine their teaching methods, strategies, and approaches, and seek to expand their repertoire, deepen their knowledge, strengthen their skills, and remain inventive. They can't remain dormant with a set of fixed teaching style. Instead, should be ready to incorporate all new ideas and methods developed each time into their teaching style. Students, it was all for today, hoping that you might have understood and enjoyed this.